You're watching PowerNation.
Project Cream Puff's new stance has created some issues for our body. We'll carve out some room in our C10 so our transmission will fit.
Plus, trim out the fenders to accommodate bigger tires up front. All that and more today on Music City Trucks.
All right, see what we're looking like here.
All right.
Don't scratch?
No.
All right. Well, hey guys, we got the C10 in the shop here, and we're installing this pretty new drive shaft from Chattanooga Driveline. We're gonna get this cab down, mocked up, see what kind of floor modifications we have to make. But if you're just tuning in, let us show you how we got to this point. We picked up this 72 C10 Super Cheyenne that we could tell was well taken care of. We naturally had to run it through the ringer by taking it to a truck competition to show us what we had to start with. After a couple of rips around the autocross track, it was clear to see we needed to take Papa's Chevy and give it some much needed performance upgrade.
Once in the shop, we devised a plan of attack to up the power and give it an aggressive stance. Quickly, we tore into our C10, stripping it down to the rolling chassis. Next, we plucked the tired 350 small block and dated turbo 350 automatic transmission. The suspension was next on our to-do list. That stock high elevation suspension was gutted for PB Fab drop members front and back. We also sliced and diced on the 54-year-old frame to achieve our desired short bed status. Well, now that you guys are up to speed on our project, well, we got to get the frame up off the ground. And so what we've done is we've run some air lines here to hook up to our shop air to air up the bag so we can move it around the shop.
Yeah, it's hard to get these things rolling when they're laying on the ground.
Yeah. After setting our pinion and transmission angles, we sent off our measurements to Chattanooga Driveline, and this 3.5-inch shaft is what they sent us. It's in steel. Now, it clears everything except one more thing we gotta check is that cab. So let's go ahead and get this thing rolled up underneath it. We're gonna lower the cab down and see what we're working with.
Let's do it. See what we're looking like. All right, talk to me, Goose.
All right, send that thing down, and it looks like the lift is all the way down,
That's
but
it.
we're not making contact yet. So let's put some more air in the bags and raise the chassis.
A little bit more. Oh, that's it.
All right.
Let's
What's
see
it
where
look
we're
like up there?
Looks like we're hitting on the back of the trans right at that seam on the tunnel.
Okay. Let's see.
Yep.
All right, let's jump inside, see what we can do. All right. Well, to achieve the correct driveline angle on our lowered chassis, we had to take the transmission and move it up from its factory mounting point. Well, the downside of that is it's run into the bottom of the floor pan here. Now, these trucks were originally equipped with either a low hump floor pan like ours, or a high hump floor pan like you'll see on some four-wheel drive models.
Now, luckily for us, Brothers Trucks sells just about every piece of sheet metal you're ever gonna need for these old C10s, including this high hump you see here. Now, what this is gonna allow us to do is take our low hump truck and make it a high hump. Now, what we'll do here is we're gonna lay it down like this, we'll mark out these holes, and then we'll take it off, cut around pretty much basically to the edge of these holes, all the way around here, and that's gonna hopefully give us the clearance we need to get this trans right.
Yep, so let's get this marked out, we'll get it cut out and see how much more room we got.
All right, I'll grab a marker. So I'm keeping pressure on this thing to kind of keep it in place. Not that it's super critical, but aim small, miss small. All right, that should be good. We'll take this off, trace our outline, and then get to cutting. All right, so we're gonna make our line, our cut line here on this factory stamping right on the inside. So we know that this is gonna be the outside of the tunnels over here. This is our hole, so I'm just gonna stay on the inside of that. I don't really necessarily need to mark it, but it's always good just to have an extra visual. That way you don't get lost while you're cutting. All right, something like this. Stay on this line right here. All right, something like that. So the way I'm gonna cut it, I mean, if you have a plasma cutter, you can use a plasma. I'll probably just end up using a cutoff wheel, and then we'll grind it smooth with a flap disc. Should be good to go. good to go. All right, slide this thing under, see how we're looking.
Check our clearance, Clarence.
Got it? Good?
From the front. Okay, drop her down.
Still going down.
It's going down. I'm yelling timber. No, not that song.
No,
Okay.
no.
Almost there. All right, stop. Lift is all the way down. We're not on the mounts yet.
Got to air up.
So let's air it up. I think that's right there. Check it out and see.
Let's see what we're looking like in here. Well, it looks like the trans problem went away, which is a good thing.
Right.
But I looked under the truck and I can already see it here. With this single piece drive shaft we're running, we're gonna run into issues with the floor and the back of the cab. So, I mean, the chassis is all the way up right now, but when we lay out, that drive shaft's gonna be coming way up.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna have to be cutting that floor.
Yeah, the cab's all the way down on the lift, but it's still not sitting on the body mounts yet because it's obviously hitting on something right there with that U-joint of the drive shaft.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we let the air out of the system, the airbags there is definitely going to be hitting the back of the floor. So
Yeah, so I think what we do is I want to try to save this, save the top of this, and maybe we just put a piece over here.
right,
You know, put a piece down there, weld it all in, and cut the back of the cab.
right.
And I think we'll be good then.
Yeah, we'll just try to remove as little as possible because then you get up in the bottom of the seat with clearance issues and things like that. So we'll go ahead and get that cut out and then start making a new piece to cover that up.
Yep. We slice up the floor in our old Chevy to make room for our drive shaft. Well, all right, guys. So as you can see, we're already starting to weld in our high hump here from Brothers. And the way we did it is we went ahead and just used the existing holes in the hump that they give you to either, and there's a couple different ways you can do it. You could drill them in, weld some nuts on the back, or you could do what we're doing here and go ahead and just plug weld them in. And ultimately, the best way to do it would be to cut this all out and butt weld this in. We're a little limited on time, so we're just gonna go ahead and do this. And then after we're done, we'll go ahead and just cover everything in some seam sealer, and it'll be good to go. Now, also, I already went ahead and cut out what we needed to get out of here for the trans tunnel and the drive shaft. And so what I did is basically just freehanded it with a plasma cutter, and then we went back over it, hit it with a flap disc to clean up the edges. Now, I've already got my templates made up, so I'm gonna go ahead, finish burning this in, and then we'll go over to the brake and go bend some metal. All right, well, now that we have that hump welded into the truck, I'm gonna go ahead and start filling that hole in the floor. So I already whipped up a couple of templates here, and the material I like to use are just your run-of-the-mill standard manila folders. I like using this a little bit better in cardboard because cardboard's kind of a pain in the butt to cut, so this stuff cuts a lot easier and you can bend it and it kind of stays. So what I'll do now is I got my piece of metal here already cut out to a rough size. I already laid it out here and taped it down. And so I marked my bend lines and I marked it. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger since a pretty simple bend. It's just 290s, and if I have to trim up a little bit under the floor, I can do it that way. I'm not trying to get too crazy with it. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna clamp it to the table. We'll use a cutoff wheel to cut this out since the shear's down right now. So we'll just do it the old school way. So let's get to cutting. Clean that up with a flat disc. We'll be ready to bend it up. All right, got this thing roughed in. Looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and head over to the brake. All right, we'll go ahead and slap this thing up in the brake. All right, we're all lined out here. We'll go ahead and clamp it down. Now, a pretty good rule to live by whenever you're using a brake is you gotta set this top leaf to a certain distance from the braking edge. And usually that's, if you're within four gauges of the maximum thickness, that you gotta be double the thickness of the material. So that's about where I'm at. I'm almost maxed out for this machine since it's a 16 gauge. So it's just gonna give us a little bit bigger of a radius. But I've already laid that out and calculated that in my measurements, so we should be good to go. So we'll go ahead and start breaking this thing. And I'm gonna go to 90, maybe a little less. Go a little bit past 90, not too much. It should be good. Well, that looks pretty good. So I went ahead and I hit the edges, kind of went to my lines that I had for my template. So it's pretty close right now. Now, but in here, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna fill all these. Once I get this piece in, I'm gonna tie everything together, and then we'll seam seal everything after we're done welding everything in. So let's go ahead, we'll get a couple tacks on this, get it in place. All right, so we got these tacked. I still got to pound some metal a little bit, get everything to fit really good, but we should be almost ready to weld. I got to make one more piece here to tie all this together and to fill this hole here, but we're almost there. We can almost get this cap back down on the chassis.
Coming up, we massage our fenders to give us better clearance for our lowered posture.
All right, see how this little piece is looking here, Mike. I think that's gonna work out pretty good.
That'd be perfect. You know, I'm glad we really didn't have to cut out too much of that floor to make this work.
Yeah, we kept the rigidity here. You know, whenever I'm chopping into a floor or body or anything, I like to, you know, keep it as stock appearing as possible. That way you double look at it and you're like, oh, did they mess with that or did they not? So
yeah, not too heavily modified.
Yeah, I think
when we lower this thing out, let all the air out of that suspension there, that drive shaft was just touching the floor. But this way, you know, we've got some clearance there, won't be any interference. So no mechanical issues there.
Yeah, trans clears, drive shaft clears, so I think we're about ready to burn this thing in.
Yeah, the other good thing is it's not too high for the seat, for the inside here. So when we do the interior, you can have that same stock looking seat.
Yeah, we're no higher than this right here, so it should be good to go.
Right, well, I'll let you burn that in. I'm gonna work on these fenders.
Sounds like a plan.
So like we said, we're gonna have air ride on this chassis, meaning we're gonna let this thing down to the ground. The body and the frame is gonna get pretty low. Now in a factory setup, the inner fenders would collide with the tires if we try to do that. So we went ahead and with these Slosh Tubz. This is a fiberglass inner fender. It's made to give you more clearance between that tire and the inner fender underneath the hood. And plus, they just look a whole lot nicer than that stock setup. Now to get these mounted up, you've got to clearance a little bit of the fenders there. Now they send you this template on what to cut out of your fenders. So this template, I'm gonna lay it down right here. We'll go up to this edge, we'll get it marked out. The other thing too, so this area is gonna get cut out. So this is where the hood hinge mounts. So unfortunately, we're gonna relocate that hood hinge onto the cowl. So to get this going, I'm gonna get my little permanent marker and get this drawn out, and we'll get ready to go. Now there's a few ways you could cut this out. I'm gonna use a body saw. All right, now before we can test fit our inner fender, we gotta drill some holes to mount it up to it. Now the neat thing about Slosh Tubz here is he goes ahead and gives you a little mark for all your holes that you need to drill out. So that takes a little guesswork out of it. We'll go ahead and get those drilled out. All right, with our holes drilled, now it's time to test our fitment. Now this is a point where you might have to do some fine tuning for your fender and application. This fender right here is not a GM fender, it's an aftermarket fender. We saw the made in Taiwan stamping on it, so need a little bit different tune up there. I like to start in the middle with the bolts and just kind of let it work its way in. And they send you brand new bolts with these inner fenders as well. All right, let's see how that looks right there. Perfect. Fits real good. But now you'll notice there's a little bit of a gap right in here, some dead space. Now what he does, he makes some filler panels that'll clean up that area. Now I've already done that on our passenger side fender right here. These panels right here, you've got one for the front and one for the back. Now, you can take these and fine tune them the way you want to your inner fender, how you want to butt them up to the previous fender there. So we've already got these fit. They're ready for body work right there. But there's one more thing that we're going to do to these fenders to clean them up. Hello, America. Notice this big old hole we got right here on our side of our fender. Well, that's for the side marker lights. Now, these came standard on the 68 and up trucks, but 67 didn't have this, so this is smooth, it was clean, it looked really nice. So we're gonna fill that hole just like that with these side filler panels we got from LS Fabrication. Now, they make it real nice. They fit up easy, weld them in, and you can have a nice, clean fender just like that. All right, with it flipped over, you can see what we're working with now. Set that piece right in there, weld it in place, a little body work, should be good to go. First step, get all that paint off there. All right, so the key with welding this in is controlling the heat. We don't want to pour a bunch of heat to it because what it's going to do to this fender is going to move it all around. It's going to create more work for us down the road. So I'm going to take my time and go a little bit at a time, cool it off, and try to keep the temperature down. All right, well, we got it all welded up. Unfortunately, we did get a little bit of movement there in the panel, so a little hammer and dolly work, and she'll be good to go.
With relocating our fuel tank from the inside, the cab leaves us with some holes to fill. All right, while Mike's busy cranking away on our fender over there, I'm gonna tackle one more job here on the cab. Now, what I'm gonna do today is fill this hole where the gas cap filler would normally be on a stock truck. Now, these trucks originally came with the fuel tank behind the seat, but we're getting rid of that. So we got this nice little piece here from LS Fab, 16 gauge, it's metal finished, and it's got the right radius for the cab. So I'm gonna go ahead, clean this all up, and we'll get to tacking it in. All right, I'm just gonna use a little Scotch-Brite pad here and knock all this old paint off. Now, it's important, you wanna make sure you get everything off, especially when you're TIG welding like I'm gonna do, because a little bit of paint, a little bit of whatever's in there, it's gonna affect the weld and you're gonna be chasing porosity the whole time and it's no fun. We get the inside with an in grinder and a flap disc. And I'm going real light because I don't wanna dig into the metal. I'm just trying to get the paint off. All right, I'll just take a little bit of sandpaper now by hand and get the rest off. All right, I think that's pretty good. We're gonna hit it with a little acetone and then we'll get to welding. It fits pretty good. It's gonna need a little bit of fitment. You know, these trucks, you could have taken two of them right back to back off the assembly line and they would be different. So, and especially a truck, I mean, who knows, this could have been used on a farm and beat to death. I don't think this truck was, but you know, there's gonna be variance in a truck to truck and it's gonna take a little bit of fitting no matter what piece of new sheet metal you're putting on it. And that's the exact same in our case. It's a little big, so I'm gonna go grind a little bit off and get it tacked in the truck. All right, so I went ahead and took a flap disc on a grinder and just knocked a little bit off here, and then I just rounded these radiuses on the little notch down here on the bottom. Now, they fit really good. I didn't have to do a lot to them, so let's check it out, see how we're looking. I can already tell I'm gonna be able to work with that. I may have to do a little hammer work while I'm welding, but we'll just get to that point when we get there. All right, so whenever I'm working on body panels that's thin sheet metal, I like to tack around it. I'll basically tack little tacks, maybe an inch apart, maybe a little bit less, half inch, and just go all the way around it before I ever start welding. Want to make sure you're keeping it nice and cool with either some water if you don't have air, but air is the best way to do it. And I don't want to let anything get too hot because that's when stuff starts moving. All right, so I got this thing roughed in. I got it tacked in a bunch of spots. What I'm gonna do next, I'm gonna run around. I'm gonna stitch weld it in about maybe 3/4 of an inch and then move. And I'll do it opposite ends, kind of like a star pattern, just to try to control the heat. And I'm gonna be, after every single pass, I'm gonna be hitting it with air, letting it cool down nice and quick so it doesn't move to the areas around here and create a big old mess. Try to keep that under control. I mean, it's inevitable. I'm gonna have to, you know, slather a little bit of filler, but I'm trying to keep the filler to a minimum. So go ahead, get that done.
Well, how'd it turn out?
Well, I think it looks pretty good. You know, a little hammer dolly work and a swipe of filler. It's gonna be ready to rip.
Yeah, you definitely did a good job filling that hole right
man,
there.
I've been filling gap for years. I get better every time I do it.
Right, and that's the thing. The more time that you spend on the foundation, like the metal work of it, the easier it gets down the road when it comes to the filler and the sanding, the paint.
Yeah, practice makes perfect, and I like TIG welding, you know, body panels, stuff like that. It's more malleable when you go to do the hammer and dolly work than a MIG weld's gonna be, so I try to TIG as much as I possibly can on the bodies.
Right, yeah, we got a few more spots on the cab we gotta do like that to fill in the holes and on the bed as well before we can get this thing over in the body and the paint, but that's gonna be for another episode. Thanks for tuning in to Music City Trucks. Check out this Fender over here.
Let's go look at that thing.
I hope they sell new ones. We might need one.
Is that bad? Let's see what you got going.